Hello everybody and welcome to the War Room. This one is for this weekend's UFC main event. Very excited for this one. Amir Albazi taking on Kai Kara-France. Very excited for this one for a few different reasons. First of all, these two are very exciting fighters to watch. Kai Kara-France has been in some of the best back and forth fights that I remember in UFC history, certainly in my time sitting octagon side. And Amir Albazi, of course, you know, a very, very formidable fighter, coming out of London Shoot Fighters. He's just a very strong representation of that gym and what they're capable of putting together. And I feel like this is it's a fight that people are going to look back on and remember how good it was. I just kind of feel like it's set to deliver. Quick before I get into that, a shout out to our sponsors for the show, of course, AG1. I love this stuff. Our friends over at this company, they're just doing a fantastic thing by creating a product like this. I started using AG1 mainly because I'm just kind of all over the place. As you guys know, my schedule's chaotic and I'm traveling all the time, and I have to nip down to London for a night to do some stuff. I can grab one of these travel packs, I throw it in my bag, wake up in the morning, mix it up before my day starts, and I know I've got myself covered. And from that point on, I honestly just feel like some pressure's taken off my day. I feel like I'm doing myself a favor by introducing that to my life in the morning. And throughout the day, I'm reminded, I'm like, today was an AG1 day. My brain feels sharp. I feel like I can just my brain feels clear is the most important thing, because I've got so many different moving parts in the jobs that I'm doing. It requires, mental clarity, and I feel like I really get that from this. And it's probably partly to do with how much my sleep has improved since I've been using it as well. And probiotics, I think they're still massively underestimated with the benefits that we get from probiotics. So get yourself some of this Athletic Greens, and if you use our code, which I'll give you in a second, you'll get 5 free travel packs as well as a year's free supply of D3 and K2, which again, I mean, I'm sure some of you watch Dr. John Campbell's channel. The research coming out about D3 is very, very impressive. We need to all be, integrating this into our diet, because none of us are getting enough sun, that's for sure. And the other thing I did want to show you, because we've just received a new order, just before I tear the top off this and start pouring it down my neck. So that's what you're going to receive, and you're going to receive one of these as well, which is a really, really solid tin that keeps everything airtight, so it's not going to get damp and clumpy. Just a great product. Make sure you get on this. So go to athleticgreens.com/outlawed, outlaw with an ED on the end, and you'll get your 5 free travel packs. You'll get your year's free supply of this, and you will be thankful, because you'll feel much better about your day and about your life. Trust me, because I certainly do. Right, let's get into this fight. So Kai Kara-France, of course, has been in the UFC for a little bit longer than Amir Albazi. Albazi kind of came in undefeated so far in the UFC, has had a very impressive run in the UFC, stopping almost everybody. The only person that he's not been able to stop was Zhumagulov, who, of course, is one of the dark horses in the division. Now, with Kai Kara-France, when he first came into the UFC, of course, he had a couple of really good fights. We saw him unanimous decision and a split decision and a unanimous decision in his first 3. Really great fights. I mean, Raulian Paiva was a lot of fun. But then he went straight into the Brandon Moreno fight at 245 and lost. But we look at the record that he's got since he joined the UFC and the wins that he's got. It seems to me like after the loss to Moreno and the loss to Royval, there was a bit of there was something that switched in his brain. Bontorin, Garbrandt and Askarov are huge wins for Kai Kara-France. And of course, he went back into the Moreno fight and was not able to beat him, but had good moments in that fight. The third round where he was stopped with the body kick, he'd opened Moreno up. It was almost like his confidence had just kind of started to return to him. And I feel like as long as Kai Kara-France gets off on the right foot in this fight, I feel like he knows that he stands right at the top of this tree in this division. So we've got both of these guys are ranked Hang on a minute, I literally just said it a minute ago. So number 3 for Kai Kara-France and number 7 for Albazi. So a lot to be gained here for Albazi with the win over Kai Kara-France, but of course France is up there with the Pantosias and the Figueiredos and the Morenos of the division. He knows he belongs up there, he's just not quite managed to put the performance together to get the win over Brandon Moreno. I mean, something else to look at about his record is that he seems to have a bit of a problem fighting people called Brandon, because he's got 2 losses to Moreno and 1 to Brandon Royval. And that's also another point to make as well. The Brandon Royval fight was a lot of fun, a wild back and forth fight, but ultimately he got tangled up in a guillotine. And that's something else he has to be really cautious of in this fight against Albazi, because we know that Albazi's got good striking. I've been impressed with his defensive and offensive footwork since he started with the UFC. Drifts in and out of range, makes his opponents work towards him. He's able to push them back without overextending himself. He's got a really, really nice jab, which he uses very well to set up his right hand. And the other thing we've seen him using, even earlier on in his UFC career, before he got that knockout over Costa, was that uppercut that he keeps posturing. And he postures it because he knows sometimes people are going to think to level change under his jab when he's pushing forward. Now, Kai Kara-France has got a slightly lower stance, and he's got quite a high, tight guard, and he does tend to dip forward a little bit when he's under pressure. And I feel like Albazi is going to be looking to use that jab to get him to work onto that uppercut. Something that Kai Kara-France has definitely got to watch out for. But for me, this fight can swing back and forth a few ways, a few different times. This will also be Albazi's first. I'm actually going to double check this. It'll be Albazi's first 5-round fight in the UFC, from what I know, and this is something else that it stuck out to me. First 5-round fight total, so that'd be a big step up for him, especially against Kai Kara-France, who we know has got a great gas tank. Now, Albazi looked amazing in his UFC career so far, but I do still feel like this is a step up in some ways. More than anything because of Kai Kara-France's confidence in where he's at right now. He knows he's got punching power. He knows he can put people away if necessary. And I think he's going to feel confident that he's going to be able to deal with the takedown offense and back taking of Albazi. I mean, so let's just focus on Kai Kara-France for a second, because if you look at the fights that he's had, the wins that he had, so Bontorin for me was a huge test, especially given the fact that he was coming off a guillotine loss to Brandon Royval. That was a big fight. He got through the takedown, the back take. He got through the struggles with the submission offense. At the end of the first round, he was able to put it on him, kept pressuring him, found that right hand over the top and knocked him out face first. Really, really nice performance that was. Shows that he can lose the entire round and still find his opponent's chin towards the end of the round. So that's something that Albazi's got to be careful of. If he has a successful round and he wins 4 minutes of the round by taking Kai Kara-France's back and threatening his neck, but then all of a sudden, in the last 10 seconds, Kai Kara-France is able to find him and knock him down. Even if he doesn't get stopped in that round, he may lose the round on the scorecards, and what may have been a 10-8 round for Albazi all of a sudden turns into a 10-9 round for Kai Kara-France because he scored the knockdown at the end of the round. That's something that Albazi's got to be cautious of with Kai Kara-France. And the more you dominate Kai Kara-France, the more he'll make the most of those brief opportunities where he's back on his feet with space to strike. So if we look through Kai Kara-France's fights, I feel like he's proven himself against the last 3 opponents that he's beaten. So Bontorin, of course, he had his back taken. He was taken down. He was able to defend that, get back to his feet, score the knockout. Cody Garbrandt, a great puncher, a power puncher, a good boxer, good footwork. He was able to counter him with that, he countered a low kick and dropped him to start with, and then was able to just find his chin with a variety of different positions for his right hand, proving himself against a power puncher in Cody Garbrandt, a former champion. And then probably the most impressive for me is a unanimous decision against Askar Askarov. And also worth noting that out of the 14 takedown attempts from Askarov, Kai Kara-France defended 12. Now, I'm sure Askarov was not expecting to have that kind of takedown defense against him. I think he was expecting that even if he wasn't winning the striking, he's always got the takedown in the back pocket. And if Kai Kara-France can take that away from Albazi in the early rounds, that might also start to sway the confidence in his direction. Now, there's no doubt Albazi's a good striker. There's a lot of facets to his striking game. But if he doesn't feel like the fight can be taken to the floor on his terms, then that might start to put even a perceived pressure in his own head as to how the fight's going. So what do I expect from Albazi? So 16 wins on... Did I do tail of the tape, Jamie? I don't think I did I? Quick tail of the tape then. So Kai Kara-France, 24 wins and 10 losses on his record with 1 no contest. Albazi is 16 wins on his record with 1 loss. That 1 loss was to Shorty Torres in Brave, which isn't, no shame at all. You could put Shorty Torres back in this division right now and he'd be competitive, I think. So you've got a 1-inch height advantage for Albazi at 5'5" and a 1-inch reach advantage for Kai Kara-France at 69 inches. Higher striking output for Kai Kara-France, but a higher striking accuracy for Albazi. Slightly better striking defense for Kai Kara-France, but again, you sway these statistics because of who he's fought. But this again is where I circle back to takedown defense being impressive. 87% takedown defense for Kai Kara-France. Now, I do think Albazi is going to be able to take him down, but I think he's going to have to work hard for it. And I think chaining things together for Albazi is going to be very useful. So I can see this working out quite well for Albazi. I can see him level changing, and then when Kai Kara-France gets his hips away, Albazi coming up the center line with the uppercut. I can also see him using that method of level change to uppercut into body lock to then start stitching his trips and reaps on the end of it, because he's very good from a body lock as well. And that might be a secondary or even a third takedown attempt against Kai Kara-France if he's able to go from a double leg to a single leg to a body lock and then start working trips. This chain of takedown attempts might eventually get Kai Kara-France to the floor. And when Askar Askarov did have success taking Kai Kara-France down, it was because he was chaining things together, working the upper body, working the lower body, forcing Kai Kara-France to keep changing his level. That for me is where Albazi is going to be able to have success with his wrestling, but also stitching on his striking. That uppercut up the center line will be really, really useful for him. If he is able to tangle Kai Kara-France up, of course, Albazi is going to be looking to take the back. He's got really, really good back attacks. As we've seen from Kai Kara-France against Bontorin and against Askarov, he's got great back defense. So that might be an area where Albazi's got to be cautious that he's not burning too much energy and wearing himself out, because as we said earlier, if Kai Kara-France loses 4.5 minutes, then gets up onto his feet and escapes the back attack and then starts putting hands together, he can steal that round back in the last 10-15 seconds. So Albazi's got to measure that offense, knowing how good Kai Kara-France's back taking is. And he's also got to choose his opportunities to work takedowns if he chooses to put the fight on the floor, because he doesn't want to be wasting energy trying to take Kai Kara-France down. We saw what it did over 3 rounds to Askar Askarov. Like, it's very rare that we see that guy kind of wide-eyed and backed up against the fence. Sorry, southpaw. Wide-eyed and backed up against the fence, kind of not sure exactly what he's going to do with this problem in front of him. And at that moment, that's where you say Kai Kara-France's confidence on the rise, and he starts to call him on and point to the center. Let's go. Like, that's the Kai Kara-France that's really, really problematic, because he's got that confidence that's backing up his abilities and his skills. And I really like the way that Kai Kara-France steps forward as well, steps through with his punches, but stays nice and low. He's got 11 knockouts out of 24 wins on his record. He's got 3 submissions, but it is worth noting that none of those submissions are in the UFC. 3 knockdowns and 3 knockouts and 3 subs on his losses as well, though, which is worth bearing in mind. But we also have to remember that Kai Kara-France is a young man. He's where is he? He's 30. He's just turned 30. Literally, 2 months ago. Like, he's had a lot of fights. He's had 35 fights, and that's not including, I'm sure, the amount of kickboxing fights that he's had, the amount of experience in his amateur career as well. He's learned a lot of lessons as a pro. Sometimes people have to do that. And Kai Kara-France has learned those lessons and improved, and he's still found himself right now at 30 years old, ranked right in the top 5. Albazi on the other side, 16-1, is a far cleaner record, and it's a far more. He's got a far more clean way of approaching the fights as well, far more tactical. Whereas Kara-France can be drawn into a fight sometimes, and I think that maybe is what's put a few of those losses on his record that he perhaps didn't need. As far as Albazi's breakdown of his record, he's got 5 knockouts out of 16 wins, and he's got 9 submissions. That is an incredible finishing capability. He's never been stopped. He's got 5 rear naked chokes, a triangle, and 3 Kimuras on his record. So a nice variety there, but nothing too broad where he's kind of scattergun approaching his submissions. And that triangle, of course, was a kind of a solution that was solved by having an unfavorable position against Malcolm Gordon. I think this is a really, really interesting fight. I like the rhythm and the pace that Kai Kara-France uses. He kind of does this double and triple push where he'll step in, he'll go bat, 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 and then he'll just break that rhythm but keep pushing you forward with each burst. And they're the kind of things that are going to work really well against Albazi. Push him back, force him to be defensive, to feel like he's under attack. And the one thing that Kai Kara-France has really got to watch out for is that Albazi check left hook, because if it's a check left hook as he's pivoting, he might be able to knock Kai Kara-France off balance and make it look really bad, or he might be able to clip him with it and work him straight onto that uppercut, which we saw against Costa. This is a really fun fight. I'm excited for this one more than I am most of the main events, to be honest. I think both of these guys step into the octagon and are determined to deliver. Albazi's got a great opportunity fighting someone in the top 5, and if he picks up a win here against Kai Kara-France, we've got another lethal contender at the top of this division. But if Kai Kara-France picks up a win, he just proves that he keeps moving forward, he keeps progressing. He had good moments in the second Brandon Moreno fight. That body shot that he got taken out with was horrendous and would have taken out pretty much anybody. It's just one of those things. I think his confidence started to come back in that round, and he may have just relaxed a little bit when he felt like Moreno was damaged. But I don't think he'll be doing that against Albazi, because I think he'll know how dangerous this guy is standing and on the ground. Great fight. Really looking forward to it. Make sure you check out our sponsors, AG1, Athletic Greens. You're going to love this stuff. It's going to change your life. It's going to extend your life. It's going to make you feel much better about everything about your day. It's going to make your brain function better and make you sleep better. No reason why you shouldn't be treating yourself better. Let's get on this. athleticgreens.com/outlawed. Thank you for watching. Give us a like and a subscribe. I always forget to say that. I hope you're all well. I hope you're enjoying the sunshine wherever you are, and I'll see you next time.